So, yeah, Lisa, what are we doing right now?
We're testing to see how we would be able to composite two of the same person into one scene. So I'm basically coming over and filming me, talking to me, and then I'm standing in for me, reacting to me. Does that make sense?
So I first sort of took on the role of like visual effects supervisor when like we had finished the script and there were scenes where there were obviously going to be times when the same actor had to be interacting with themselves. It was absolutely necessary to do all these tests and know that we could do it and then how to do it the best way possible. So I did one test to sort of see what I could do, and then I showed that to Alex, and Alex was like, "Oh my god, that's so awesome. You're clearly the visual effects supervisor. You have to figure out how we're going to do all this crazy stuff that I have in my head."
There's enough scenes in the movie where using kind of obvious cheap camera tricks would get old, and so I really think that it's gonna make the movie a lot better and more fun to have these compositing shots, because it'll really sell the effects you're gonna see.
The very first test I did was a test to see if we could move a camera in three-dimensional space and composite someone into that 3D space. So that was the very, very first extremely rough, crude sort of like concept shot. I just needed to do some more tests to refine the whole process. So the next test after that was a test to sort of learn more about this 3D tracking program that I have. It starts with her, she walks around the table, and on the table I've composited in a two-dimensional image that moves around in 3D space, so it sort of appears like a hologram, and it moves exactly with the camera. And so that was the first like really successful, this 3D tracking software will totally work, and now we can use it to do even cooler things. So it's this one, and it's the same place. What's up?
Hey.
So it's the same thing in the courtyard, and I just had to sort of walk forward and then walk back, knowing that I was going to try to put a composited person in there and see if I could make it look like that person was in the space also. So that's what this guy is with his silly little sweater. I googled green screen person, and this is the image that came up. So I used him and composited out of the green screen. And then I added in the back wall and the window, there's a shot from You Are Here covering the window to see how like closely it would match like the geometry of the actual wall. And then I added in a floating, spinning hologram of the Fast 5 trailer, because why not? So this shot was trying to accomplish, first of all, a good composite, like being able to have someone be against a green screen and put them in this other shot and have it look perfect. And then also getting a better track. So that's why if you look at the shot, there's a light stand with a Coca-Cola bottle at Addie's height so that the computer would have something to track and know that this point is where Addie's head should be. And the compositing wasn't great, but overall the 3D tracking worked out pretty well. So this is actually probably one of the worst tests that we did. We're trying to see if we could start tilted down at something else and then pan up and have the camera tilt into a composited person in the background, and then add a dolly move after that tilt. And we found that that particular movement was extremely hard for the camera tracking software to deal with. Addie's performance in it is beautiful, but the actual technical aspects of it were bad.
I appreciate that.
The car shot was tricky because it's a small enclosed space, and like there's movement of the car that you have to like take into account, etc. And what we did is we had Addie sit in the car in the driver's seat, put up a green screen behind her, like across the middle of the car, and then we took her out of the driver's side and had her just get in the passenger side with no green screen. And so you take the one Addie that's on top, take out the green screen, and put it on top of the other Addie. And at this point, I'd gotten much better at keying out green screens and lighting green screens. And so it was actually a pretty successful shot where you can buy that it's two Addies in a car sitting and talking to each other. The dolly shot in Addie's apartment was sort of a different version of the shot that we'd done before that failed so hard. And so this was sort of like the combination of all the things that like I learned in all the other tests put into one shot. And so the composite turned out really, really good, and the 3D tracking move worked really, really well. And so like all the pieces just came together really nicely. It's probably as good as we can get. So now that we've done all these tests, I think like we're as prepared as we can be. Did we even count how many visual effects shots there were? It's like 20. Going and doing all these and having all of them turn out as perfectly as, you know, this one test shot that we got to look good.
I'm very excited.
Awesome.
No pressure.
None.
It'll be perfect.
Mm-hmm.